There's Commissioner Sheffield. I'll sit on mute.
Okay, well, it's 6 o'clock and I know we still have some people who are arriving, but in the interest of honoring everyone's time, we'll go ahead and get started with this virtual community meeting about a zoning application here in the Mableton community, Z56, which is an application by Traton Homes for a community off South Cobb Road, South Cobb School Road, Linda Vista, and Lima Street. My name is Robin Meyer. I'm the chairman of the zoning committee for the Mableton Improvement Coalition. And I'm helped in that work by a very engaged and active group on the zoning committee, who I'll introduce later. The Mableton Improvement Coalition has been around for almost 20 years here in Mableton. We got our start with zoning. If you're not familiar with us, you can find out a whole lot more at our website, mableton.org. And I encourage you to go take a look. If you're not already a member, please join. There are strength in numbers, and we would certainly appreciate your support. We have a number of folks with us this evening that I would like to recognize. First off, I believe we have District Commissioner Monique Sheffield. Commissioner Sheffield, are you with us yet?
I am. Hello, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
We're doing well on this end.
Good.
And is there anything you'd like to share with us this evening?
No, just I just always thank you guys for having these meetings, because it really helps to make our job so much easier to hear from the community. And I had a recent conversation with another group, and I explained that as we move through the zoning process, the initial process is to go before staff. So staff is our Department of Traffic, Stormwater Management, etc. But what they're looking at is the technical side of the zoning application. But at the point that it reaches me and the other commissioners, that's when we add the layer of community and what the community desires and what the community is looking for. So these type of meetings are extremely helpful, not just to me and the other boards, but also for the applicants and the applicants' representatives. So I really appreciate everyone being engaged in the process.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Planning Commissioner Michael Hughes. Michael, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Robin, and good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Hughes. I'm the new Planning Commissioner for District 4. Excited to be here this evening. I've got about 35 years of professional experience in planning, zoning, and economic development. About 25 of those 35 were right here in Cobb County. Retired in January of 2020, and excited to be a part of this process. And also reside in Mableton. So I'm looking forward to participating tonight and hearing what folks have to say about this zoning case.
Great. Thank you very much. We also have, I believe we'll have Cliff Poston from Traton Homes and Kevin Moore, who is the attorney for Traton Homes. You'll hear from them in a little bit. We have a couple of board members on the call tonight. I know that we have our chairman, Ray Thomas, and our vice president, Nate Smith, who is also on the zoning committee. Sonia, you can see the list of participants. So if you see any other board members, please let us know. The zoning committee members who are involved in this meeting tonight include Sonia Wheatley, who is co-hosting the Zoom call for us. Becca Ford. Becca is our contact person for this particular zoning application. And I'll list out the members of the other names of the other zoning committee members. I'm not sure, I've not had a chance to look down the list of participants because it keeps dinging, we keep getting more people. But also on the zoning committee are Doug Moss, Yashika Marshall, Vaughn Fountain, and Michael McNeely. And then last and certainly not least, we want to send thanks and recognition to the Huntcrest HOA board. Marie Powell and her board have been instrumental in looking hard at this application, circulating information about it in the neighborhoods around the property. And hats off to you, Marie, Kim, Tamika, and others. Thank you so much for all the good work that you guys have done here. Some ground rules. We will have Q&A after the applicant makes the presentation. So please be respectful of others in your words and your tone. Be respectful of everyone's time. Be concise. Time maybe is the most precious thing we have. We've muted your microphones. We'll unmute as needed. If we miss, however, please do mute your microphone to eliminate background noise for everyone. Use the chat function to ask questions. If possible, we'll combine questions to save time, but if you wish to state your opinion, just type speak into the chat and we'll call on you as time allows. If you'd like to be added to a mailing list to get information about this application, email us at zoning@mableton.org. And we will make sure that we keep you apprised as this application works its way through the process. It's our aim to be finished around 7:15. So let's see what we can do to make that happen. I want to cover just a few facts about Z56 before we get into the presentation so that everybody's to the extent possible on the same page. We're talking about 25 acres of pretty much undeveloped property. You can see it here on the map. Presently, it is zoned light industrial, and it's used in that fashion. Light industrial development, a different kind of light industrial development, anything from a warehouse to some automotive and vehicle kinds of uses could be built there without any public comment. An owner could simply go pull a permit and provide some basic plans, meet the basic county development standards, and there wouldn't be the yellow signs posted along the property or a public meeting like this. So it's important to understand how this property is zoned now, and now it is zoned light industrial. The future land use map, which is a policy guide, it doesn't allow a property owner to actually use their land in accordance with its categories. But instead, the future land use map is a guide for the county officials in how they'd like to see communities develop and redevelop. The future land use map for this property, for this 25 acres, calls for low density residential. And that category is up to 2.5 homes per acre. Now, those of you who live in R20 subdivisions such as Huntcrest, the homes on Leela Street, South Cobb School Road, all of that property is zoned R20. And that's about 2 units to the acre, just to give you a sense of that. If you live in on Oak, in that small development right here, if you can see my cursor move, this is an RA5 development, and this is about 5 units to the acre, just to give you a sense of the difference. The original application was for 145 homes in the FST category, which stands for fee simple townhomes. And those are attached townhomes, just like you think townhome means. There's no magic to that word. When we saw that application here at the Mableton Improvement Coalition, we spoke with Mr. Moore, and he spoke with Traton. And we asked if they would also consider, instead of townhomes, a single family neighborhood for this property. And they said yes, and they've provided a plan for 125 single family homes in the RA5 category, which is 5 units to the acre with minimum 7,000 square foot lots. And that's the plan that I think Mr. Moore will be discussing later tonight. There's some important dates. Coming up is a wonderful opportunity to understand more about zoning and all the zoning applications that are available, that are going on in District 4. Commissioner Sheffield and Planning Commissioner Hughes hold their In the Zone meeting on the 4th Wednesday of every month at, I'm sorry, not 6 p.m., but 7 p.m. That is a typo on my part, so please change that to 7 p.m. It's a virtual meeting, and you can catch up with that with the link for that meeting in Commissioner Sheffield's newsletter. And we will also keep up with that in the MIC newsletter. And you can also anytime give us a shout at zoning@mableton.org, and we will share that link with you. Right now, September 7th is the expected date of the Planning Commission hearing for this application. The original hearing was set for August, but it was postponed until September to allow for this public meeting, for this community meeting, and also for that second, our single family plan that was provided. It's not unusual for zoning cases to be postponed. I don't think I'm giving away anything here when I say it wouldn't be a surprise to me personally if this happened to get postponed again. If you're really interested in this and you plan to be at the Planning Commission hearing on September 7th, certainly mark your calendar. Same thing for September 25th at the Board of Commissioners hearing, but be aware that these can be postponed, and double check before you take off work and drive to Marietta, double check to make sure that's still on the agenda. Again, we're always happy to help you with that. The Planning Commission, Mr. Hughes and his colleagues make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, and then the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Sheffield and her colleagues, make the final decision. And there can, like I say, there can be delays at both of these levels. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Moore and Traton Homes to talk more about the application that they're proposing. And so, Kevin, I'll go ahead and share the site plan, if that's helpful to you.
I think it would be.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
There we go. So take it away.
Great. Robin, thank you for the introduction. And thank you to Mableton Improvement Coalition for hosting this meeting and for being a part of this. And I'm certainly glad that Commissioner Sheffield and Planning Commissioner Hughes are both a part of this. They can hear it as well. And as they will be certainly part of the process going forward in making the ultimate decisions. For several of you I do know, and it's good to see you again. And for those that I don't know, as an introduction, my name is Kevin Moore. I am a lawyer here in Cobb County based in Marietta, and have been practicing in land use and zoning, representing applicants and developers, builders in the zoning process for the last 25 years, primarily here in Cobb County. One thing just to note is I'm not a lawyer for Cobb County. I'm not a county attorney. I'm not a Cobb County attorney. I do not represent the county in this process. The county has its own attorneys for that look after the process and make sure the process is followed. I do, however, represent Traton Homes as part of this process in their application. And I will, when I kind of get done with giving you a few more specifics following what Robin presented, then I'll hand this over and let Cliff Poston, who's an owner and principal of Traton Homes, speak to you about Traton itself and what they view for this property as part of another hopefully exciting residential, which is a local Cobb County home builder and developer, and has been doing this since 1971 and developed just a great number of beautiful residential communities in Cobb and elsewhere, but primarily in Cobb County. The introduction that Robin gave to the property, that it's zoned light industrial today and therefore can be used for all permitted purposes under light industrial today without public input or public meetings, is part of the story here. Robin is correct that initially we had submitted an application for this property. This is just over 25 acres, so really consider it just about 25 acres. That we had submitted an application for a fee simple townhome project and community of 145 homes. We had some immediate follow-up and some meetings and conversations with the Mableton Improvement Coalition zoning committee that Robin mentioned, and eventually what we were looked at and what Traton really looked at was doing a detached single family development of detached homes instead of townhomes, and really looking and seeing how that could unfold and what that would look like. So what's on your screen now Just to orient you on the property, you'll see Leela Street, which is coming off to the left of your screen. And that goes out to the intersection of Austell Road. And you also see South Cobb School Road kind of coming in from the top left, along with where it intersects with Linda Vista, and that also dead ends and comes into this property. So the proposed community that we'd be building in your neighborhood would be utilizing those different access points and streets that feed into this property and dead end of this property. What we're proposing now for our discussion is 120. This is 125 homes. It has a full amenity, meaning pool, full cabana and pool, as well as a good deal of open space that would be set aside as passive park area for the enjoyment of the residents. The proposed density is under this plan is at 5 units per acre. I just want to take the time, since it came to me, is to answer some questions that had already been given to me. And I want to just go through those so that people can know that we did receive those. And it'll also give a good entree into what Cliff is going to talk about as well. This property and this proposal from Traton Homes would have a mandatory homeowners association. These are homes in part of a neighborhood and community that Traton builds. Would have a mandatory homeowners association that has mandatory dues that would ensure that the amenities and the areas are maintained and kept up by that homeowners association. The price range of these homes would be in the mid 300s and up. And Cliff will give you some more information just about the community feel as well. While the proposed category of RA5 and the zoning categories in Cobb County do not prohibit rental very often, and we would certainly consider this as part of it because these are for sale homes, that there would be a rental limitation here. I know that that's something that would be typically asked by the county, as well as Mableton Improvement Coalition asks for those types of conditions as well. And we would have a rental limitation that would mean that there would be no rental, or rental would be limited to no more than 10% of the homes. And that's just to allow for, emergency circumstances and things like that for people that own the homes. But it's very, very limited. This is for sale for home ownership. We believe that's very important. Traton believes that's very important. And we think that's what is very much needed. Just community and area wide, to have home ownership is an investment in the community itself. The traffic study aspect of this, we are required by Cobb County as part of this process to conduct a traffic study. So there's an independent traffic engineering firm that was retained and that is dealing directly with Cobb DOT. That study is almost complete. That process involves the traffic engineers and Cobb DOT going back and forth with comments and areas for study that Cobb DOT directs. That study should be completed by early next week and submitted to Cobb DOT for any additional comments. But it is almost complete and will be turned into Cobb County early next week. That is a public document. It'll be available to anybody that wants to look at the study, and it will be available for those purposes, and will be a part of this proposal. We have proposed as part of this as a detached single family development as one that we think can add a lot of value, not only to the future residents here, hopefully, but also to the community as a whole in terms of this particular 25-acre tract. Again, this property is zone light industrial, as well as the tract to the south of it is. We think a far better use is residential than what could potentially happen with light industrial. And that's how we'd like to see that as well. I don't want to bore you just by talking, but I did want to give you some of those bare, facts about this particular proposal and rezoning proposal, so that we could then, as we answer questions, you can have a basis for that. One of the other questions, I'm sorry I missed one on my notes. On the eastern portion of the site, there was a question regarding whether there was a stream there that would go across from north to south or from up to down on your screen on the eastern portion of that site. We've had there's an environmental engineering firm that is well respected and regarded in Cobb County called Contour Engineering, who has done a full site report and determined that there's not a stream that qualifies as a state water for buffers and so forth. That will be under review by Cobb County, and we would think they agree. They typically do with those findings, as long as it's presented by a professional certified environmental engineer. And so that's under review with the county right now. And that was one of the other questions we had. So Robin, with that, if I could turn it over to Cliff Poston with Traton Homes, and you can talk a little bit about Traton and about their vision for the property and kind of what they want to create here in terms of a new part of this community.
Yes. If you know if Cliff is on a cell, I don't see him by name.
It may be under Angela Poston.
That's it. Okay. I wasn't sure. So.
That's his wife.
I thought that may be the case. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sonia.
I found.
Okay.
So Cliff is unmuted. Yeah, we should be able to unmute now.
There we go. Now have you got me?
Yes, and actually, just before Cliff begins speaking, just wanted to let you know if anybody else has questions or wants to speak, if you guys would just type into chat. Once Cliff speaks, we'll put the questions that have been asked and then start unmuting people that would like to talk directly.
Absolutely. Great, Kevin. I appreciate the intro, and you did a great job kind of explaining what our thoughts are. And I want to appreciate everybody here tonight for giving us an opportunity to kind of talk with you guys and get some feedback from the community and hear what you guys like and hear what you guys don't like. I'm hoping we think.
Cliff, can you turn up your volume or get your microphone closer?
Yep. I'm sorry. Hang on a second. As Kevin said, let me get a little closer. Is that any better?
Yes.
Yes.
It's on wide open. Sorry, it's my wife's laptop. We're having problems with mine. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Uncomfortably close. So I apologize to anybody that's offended by that. Anyway, I appreciate everybody's time and thank y'all. We'd love to hear your input on this. We think, as Kevin mentioned, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary in Cobb County. We've been located in Cobb the entire 50 years. We've built almost 12,000 houses around the Southeast. We have built a lot of houses in Cobb County. This is an area that we have built in. We've known South Cobb. We've loved South Cobb. This is actually an old family friend, the Calvert family, that owns this property. And so we have talked with them about it for years and didn't know that it was quite ready, but we talked with them 6 or 8 months ago and felt like this was an opportunity now to come in. I feel like this area is just really doing well. It's really sought after. We're seeing a lot of millennials want to come this way. And this is kind of what we set this up for. We're taking a lot of millennials that would have been, closer in and maybe, didn't need any lot at all, or were living in condos or townhouses, are now looking to be a little bit further away, to spread out a little bit. They still don't want to take care of a huge yard, a huge house, but they want to have a little patch of their own land. The amenities are important to them. And so we still, at this point, this is kind of the baseline of amenities that we plan on offering. So we'll continue to study and potentially add to that as we go, whether that's a tot lot that's important or pickleball courts, or I don't know, anything. There's all kinds of different things that we look at. So as Kevin mentioned, we are looking at what's been going on in the market. We've got this product that we are proposing here. We're getting ready to open 2 communities in Powder Springs. One is being developed. One is, in fact, they paved it today. We're going to start selling in about 2 weeks. This particular size of the product that we're going to be building there runs about 1,800 to about 2,800 square feet. Prices here are going to be from the mid 3s to, I would say, pushing low 4s is what we're thinking with the level of finish that we're planning on doing. We've got 3, 4, and 5 bedroom floor plans that we would anticipate offering here. And so we just think it's a fantastic opportunity. We've had a good luck with townhouses in this part of the world, but we understand you guys, want to see a little bit more separation. And I understand that. And I don't think it's a bad idea at all. But we think it's a great opportunity to be in a great area. The schools are good. We've enjoyed working with Cobb down in this part of the world, and we think it's going to be a home run. So, Kevin, if I've left anything off, please let me know. But would love to field questions or how you want to proceed from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Cliff. The square footage was 1,800 to
2,700. It's about 2,740, I believe it is the biggest house with the bump ups and bump outs.
Okay.
So I would anticipate the average probably being somewhere in the 2,300 square foot range, which is, I started looking around the neighborhood today, kind of prepping for this meeting. That doesn't look too far from what the average 1 mile around this looked like. It was more like 2,400, but that seems to be relatively consistent. That's probably where we will sit. I'll see a question there. How many houses per acre? Right now, it's just under 5 units to the acre.
Correct.
So we're just not seeing these buyers. The big yard doesn't mean anything to them. And so their active lifestyle, they don't, big yard's just not a big deal to them. And so we've had good success with smaller lots like this. Again, we've got 2 projects coming up in Powder Springs that we're really excited about. That one, we've got 1,000 people on the waiting list or interest list. I'll say that. So we think this is going to be, something that's going to be hugely popular.
Robin, this is Kevin again. How do you want us to handle questions or field that?
I was going to say, if I may, I'll just read from the top a few have been answered. And then anybody that wants to speak can simply type speak in. I think you've covered most, Kevin, but just starting at the top. DOT evaluated. So you did say that DOT is currently you're in process with DOT and your traffic engineer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I expect that study to be completed, and we'll have DOT's response to it supposedly next week or thereabouts.
Okay. And there was one question about the distance to Austell, to the city of Austell, and will they be involved? Are they made aware of what impact will that have?
I think there was a question about whether the city of is on a portion of this section of Austell Road where Leela intersects, whether that's that may be a city of Austell jurisdiction street. I don't know about that. The city is not, because this isn't within the city's jurisdiction, nor is it within the area for under their land use agreement with the county, but the city would not be typically involved.
Okay. There are a couple of questions about fencing. Would you build a high sturdy fence since it's currently a problem, especially this is someone from Huntcrest
Sure.
speaking about the pool.
And I think one of the things, I've seen a couple of questions about it. So I think about fence and as well as either some buffer as it relates to against Huntcrest, and to orient everybody along about halfway along the top is where Huntcrest is adjacent to us there. And then along the right-hand side, about halfway down, it doesn't go all the way, it goes down about halfway or so, is Huntcrest as well. And so what we've done, and part of what we're doing here, is taking notes about what people are concerned about. And what we'd like to do is look at seeing how we might be able to expand that buffer area. And in the buffer that we would have, landscape buffer or green space buffer that we use there, and see how we can expand that. Right now, it's a 10-foot buffer, which is what the ordinance requires. What we would look to do is see if we could go beyond that and see how far we could go. Fencing, just a little bit about fencing. A privacy fence like that is we don't like to see, not because of cost, but because of future cost. The maintenance of a privacy fence along that stretch would just, we think, turn into an eyesore in the future. But let us look at, we're happy to look at both the buffer and potentially fencing options. I think somebody said there's some cut through, but again, this will be where our subdivision will be here, I think that will cut through that's been occurring into Hunt Crest, since we'll have our own amenity pool and clubhouse and so forth, or cabana and amenity areas. But let us look at that. It's just the fencing of like that is not something that we don't want anything to do. We don't want to do anything that's going to be unattractive in the future. We want this to be attractive for those purposes.
There are several questions referencing the floodplain. Is it considered
Sure.
floodplain that it flooded? If we also go down, there was mention about Buttermilk Creek exists on the site and floods the area. It's a floodplain. And then there's a question about wildlife and pushing them out of the area, endangering
Sure.
children.
All right, so we do have on the bottom left corner is an area where those are where we have determined that there are qualified streams, and that's why that area is buffered. And you see that entire area, other than where we'll be having a stormwater management facility, which is a detention pond, is where the water is. There's not been determined any floodplain on this site. I think some people it's hard to, unless you know right where it is, this 25 acres and the piece that's immediately adjacent to the south is about the same size or close to it, is also zone light industrial. That's the one that has the towers on it, and and that is that may be where I think there's some floodplain to the south of us, but not on this property. Is where that floodplain is located, according. So it's not actually on this property.
That's my understanding. That sounds like
Gotcha.
a church.
So Sonia, you just want to keep going with those questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought Cliff was speaking. There's some mention about Linda, and I know this kind of falls into traffic. Linda Drive being 18 to 21 feet wide.
Right.
And concern says that traffic's a problem. Turning left on Leela is already a death trap.
Right. Well, that's with the primary accesses will be South Cobb School Road and Leela Street, and that's why that's the purpose of the traffic study is for DOT and the traffic engineer to review, what potentially may or can be done. So we have to wait for that. That's all subject to what DOT would like to see. It's nice to know about Linda Vista and its width, and we'll engage with DOT on that as well. Okay, to see what and Linda Vista is part of the traffic study. Each of those streets, South Cobb School Road, Leela, as well as Linda Vista, as well as their intersections with Austell Road, are part of the traffic study. Even the intersection of Austell and Clay is part of the traffic study. So it's not just limited to what you're seeing. It's way beyond that. The traffic study encompasses the traffic system and network that's here in this immediate area.
Okay. Our commissioners, just if we can, what is the average lot size, and then how many houses per acre come together?
All right, what you're seeing here is the proposal at 125 is call it 4.9 units per acre, 5 units per acre. These lot sizes are not 7,000 square feet. They are less than that. So these are in the 4,000 to 5,000 square feet range. We can get that. This is more for us to discuss with you. I mean, part of what we were trying to do was in the prior, the prior plan with the townhomes was, hey, let's look at doing, how does this look as detached homes, and how can we have that as opposed to townhomes? Cobb's ordinances as it relates to having smaller lots like this that are, this type of development will be, are smaller than what RA5 quote requires for detached lots, but we're not attaching them any longer. So again, we think it's more important to look at the project and see what we can bring and the quality that Traton can bring the conditions and things like that we can bring, as opposed to potentially just technical arbitrary numbers that are lot sizes.
Kind of connected, how does development compare to the Powder Springs development? And what is the zoning for the Powder Springs development?
Sure. The zoning that was done for the Powder Springs development they have a PRD, planned residential development category. Powder Springs, the city of Powder Springs has their own zoning code and zoning categories. And it was, it involved the two there in Powder Springs are more dense than what is being proposed here.
They detached?
There's one project is attached and detached. It's got townhomes and detached homes, and one project is only detached homes, but both of them are more dense than what we're proposing here.
And would they be appropriate for us to go and visit to get a sense of what you're proposing here, Cliff?
We're still early on. Yeah, the one that's got the mixed lot sizes we just got it paved. We're going to start selling. They would be appropriate there. We've got townhouses. We have this size lot, and then we also have some. I think they're 40-foot wide lots on that one. So we've kind of got three products. I think the density there was pushing 6 units to the acre, but there's really nothing up yet to see that is exactly representative of this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm just going to read this one. I don't know exactly. It says, does Traton Homes have any plans to purchase another 40 acres currently in this area?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what that's directed to. If it's about the piece to the south, but that piece is owned, has towers on it. And so there's no proposal to do anything with that property.
Just to confirm, apparently Pat Driscoll is a neighbor. Said we have 3 acres adjoining the property where we have a fence or a buffer. And along with that, Kevin, what does the open space on the bottom left entail?
Okay. The open space, you have that anywhere you see open space is going to be generally it wouldn't be developed or graded or cut. It provides just areas of natural open space. Other than the open space that you see at the top where it says South Cobb School Road, that would be part of our entrance feature where it will be heavily landscaped to look really nice. So that's what that would be. And as far as Pat Driscoll, I'm not sure where that property is. If Pat Driscoll could let us know or let.
Pat, would you like, if you would like to speak, I can unmute you.
Just so I can find it, we can take a look at it and be happy to try to address that.
So let us know if you'd like to speak. Otherwise, you can email zoning and we can certainly share it with Kevin also. Okay, sorry, I got lost for 2 seconds. Where will we be able to view the DOT traffic study when it's complete, obviously?
The traffic study will be posted on the zoning analysis case through the Cobb County Community Development. We'll certainly send it to Mableton Improvement Coalition. We can send it to you and y'all can.
We'll post it.
Post it, whatever you want to do.
You mentioned price range starting at mid 300. You mean 300,000, 500 or 350,000? And
right.
I'll answer the other. Has the site been submitted to the Cobb County zoning? Yes, it's an active application, but if you can answer price range.
Yeah, price range is mid 300s, meaning 350,000.
Okay.
Will
there be, okay.
But Kevin, just to be clear, I don't think, have you submitted this RA5 site plan to?
We have not.
County?
We didn't want to do that because we were having the conversations and we were having this meeting, and we felt it much better to have this meeting,
okay,
see what else we could gain from it, and submit it formally with maybe even additional changes. And that is brings up a great point. For sometimes I forget, not everybody does this all the time. Part of this process for us anyway, for Traton, is that the things that we commit to, the items that we're committing to, the plan, we will be putting all of this in writing as part of a zoning condition letter that will be submitted to the county and will be considered by the Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners if it's approved. All of those conditions and these items that we're suggesting to you or committing to or looking at then become a part of that approval. And so we'll be looking at that, and that's why we want to have this community meeting. It was brought forward to us to so that we can make sure we try to address everything we can, as well as if we need to make changes, like we talked about before, with maybe expanding buffers and doing some things like that, that we can take that into account.
There are several additional traffic related.
Yes.
If you, I don't know if you want to look or reread, but why not Linda Vista to be a part of the study? Are there any detriments with that thoroughfare of Leela as far as crime is concerned and street racing? Does it include Sayas Road as a cut through? And then there's some South Cobb. We'll follow up.
All right. And all of those roads are part of that traffic study, including the traffic study has updates to account for. There was a question to account for the school related traffic with the buses and so forth. That's included in the traffic study being analyzed and evaluated as for impacts and so forth. But again, traffic is one of these things too. Please keep in mind. Right now, the property is largely undeveloped. It's not really used that much. So, there's always, with any development, there is traffic impact because now you have property that before was not being used and now is going to be used in some form or fashion. So that's why the traffic study is there, for us to take a look at that and for DOT to take a look at that so we can try to mitigate traffic impact.
Another comment is if South Cobb Road is to be the main thoroughfare, it most certainly needs to be widened. Traffic's already a problem on that street, as is the intersection with Clay Road.
Okay.
I'm just reading it out to you.
Sure.
There's and also Pat Driscoll lives on Handflow Drive off Linda Vista, a private road. So Pat, we'll do everything we can to get you in touch with Kevin so that he can focus on where your property is. If you'd like us to unmute you so that you can just tell us where the property is, that would be fine. But if you'd rather do it later, that we understand that too.
Yeah, I noted that, and so we can take a look at that specifically.
Okay, I'm an Oak Bluff resident. Why build townhomes versus ranch homes?
And well, we believe that a townhome project here and community would, especially the way Traton builds and develops their communities, we think it'd be, obviously we thought it was an excellent proposal for us, but in discussing that with others, the decision was made that the having single family detached homes, having more of a neighborhood in a traditional sense of detached home would be better suited. And so that's why we have done that now. This is the proposal we will be going forward on based on this.
But they'll likely be 2-story homes, not ranch homes.
Correct. These are 2-story homes, not ranch homes.
Right.
Correct.
We just think this is I realize that there's active adult and older buyers that want single stories. We think this is going to be more of a millennial type buyer.
Okay.
Are you willing to look at less dense building? So
Sure.
It's a change, but still, are you willing to look at less than 5 units?
Yes.
I think we can discuss it. I think, what we always hope to do is if there is something that we can improve this plan, we're happy to look at improving it. Just, cutting units just because, just to cut density, we want to put the community out there that's the foot forward that Traton hopes to always put forward. And with this kind of number of lots, it really allows us to do a lot of things with the entrance and the amenity and the open spaces. And so, while we can certainly look at it, I want to try to give, if there's any giving that needs to be done density wise, I'd like it to be for a good cause as opposed to just a kind of, hey, let's cut units just because, if that's possible.
Okay. I guess I'm going to put one personal question in here. This is not being read off, but are you, part of it is staying more in tune with the actual comp planning of the future land use map. You know, this is way off the charts as far as the density, with it being at 5 versus the 2.5 that it's currently planned for, which I know it's only a guide, but it is still the plan, the future land use map. So just in that consideration, I don't know if you can comment.
Yeah, my thinking on that, and we certainly understand that, is that we're, the land use plan and the current zoning, obviously do not match or come anywhere near matching. There's a big difference between light industrial and residential at less than 2.5 units per acre. What we're trying to do is create a happy medium, understanding that the land use plan is what it is. Let's see if we can create a great neighborhood here, and get closer to that. But that's why, that's part of the reason why, based on our first discussion, we've gone from 145 that we proposed to 125. So, I mean, that's part of this whole process.
Well, the community has sidewalks throughout and sidewalks connecting to Clay Road.
We do, this plan that you see does have sidewalks, and has sidewalks throughout, and will have sidewalks throughout. As far as connecting to Clay Road, the difficulty there is, we're limited in what we can do. We can't, as far as having additional sidewalks to Clay Road or wherever at that point, those aren't part of this property. That's county streets and roads at that point in time.
And we have Corey who would like to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute Corey.
Super.
You're being unmuted now.
Can I be heard?
You can.
Yeah, hey,
we
Corey.
can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to bring attention back to a point I think someone asked a question about in chat, but I didn't hear answered, and it regards the wildlife which is inhabiting this acreage, and what your plan calls for in trying to deal with that, so we just don't have that wildlife pushed and displaced into Huntcrest and other surrounding areas, because that could definitely be a concern and a danger hazard.
Sure. There is wildlife management that is part of development, and is used as part of development and part of working with the county once the property is under development. Keep in mind too, for example, when Huntcrest was built, there was wildlife that was there as well. So wildlife, yes, it's being displaced, but this property is it's not been purchased by somebody to make it a wildlife preserve. And that's part of it. There is wildlife management that is a part of that development process.
Sorry, I muted myself. Kim, I'm unmuting you now so you can speak.
Hello, I'd like to first thank you for changing the site plan from 145 townhomes to 125 single-family detached homes. We appreciate that, seeing I am one of the lots on the north side in Huntcrest that is directly impacted by this. I think, though, there's a little bit more work to be done here. With all of the other residential lots that touch this land lot, they are all R20. So all of them are R20. So we would like to keep it in that same range of R20, or as close as possible that we can get, so that it keeps the homes in all the areas similar and it's not chopped up, and it feels more family oriented, it feels more open space, maybe gives a little bit more landscape buffer for those animals that are going to be displaced, things like that, better quality of life. And it also is more in line with the future land use map.
Yeah, we appreciate your comment, and we're gonna, like I said, we're working on some of those issues and taking a look and see how we can address them better.
Okay, there are a couple specific about buffers. Handflow and Linda Vista at the corner backs up to Hunt Crest. What can be done to create a larger buffer? When will we know what buffer you're considering?
Yeah, as far as creating that larger buffer, we'll be looking at seeing how we could incorporate that, and what we could do with that. And it'll be fairly soon. It usually takes it doesn't happen automatically. These are engineered plans and so forth. So there has to be some time to do that. We think that we'll be back to everybody in well in advance with any updates to the plan that'll show that area. Okay. Absolutely.
And Marie is asking to speak. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. I think. Yeah. Marie, I'm unmuting you. Marie,
hello, how are you?
Hi, Marie.
Great. I'm part of the Hunt Crest HOA board, and thank you all for taking the time to speak to us. That makes a world of difference, because I'm just going to be honest with you. When we first moved in 21 years ago, we were told nothing was going to be built next to us like this. And I know things change. We had no idea. The owners of the land promised us through the builder this. And so I just want to kind of let you know why we're kind of feeling a certain kind of way. I have actually been on the property 21 years. So I was one of the original builders of home there. But the concern we have, it's a couple of big concerns for me. My children went to South Cobb High School. Of course, they're adults now, but those roads, I know the study is going to take place. And people are going to take the road of least resistance, if you will. And I don't know how the study is going to turn out, but my question is, who would normally widen the roads, especially Linda Vista and South Cobb? If people are backed up on a traffic light at Leela, they're going to take the alternative, and they're going to figure that out over time. So who takes on that responsibility? Because those are very narrow roads, and there's not a lot of room over there. So I'm just wanting to put that out there first. And the buffer issue is also a big concern. Is that back up to us, and the reason we talk about wildlife so much, because we got a lot of wildlife behind us, and we hear it on a regular basis. So all it would do is kind of push it over toward us, because we're sitting on, if you look at the back of Hunt Crest, there's a big flood zone. I can only go so far out, and a lot of other people can't either. So I'm kind of not directly behind what you're building, but that's where the wildlife will push toward, most likely. So big concern is we're just concerned about traffic in Austell Road. I know that's not a huge concern for a builder. Builders trying to build, trying to do what they need to do. But Hunt Crest has, Austell Road has a lot of pedestrian walking and a lot of traffic. And we're just trying to understand, okay, great, you're putting this in here. We really appreciate you reducing the density, but the effect of this is gonna push a lot of issues to us and to the homeowners in the surrounding area. So that's why all these questions keep coming like that, because we're already dealing with a lot of traffic building on near South Cobb High School, just during the high school being in, and that's going to be an issue. And then the buffer. So we really want you to take that in consideration, because our concerns are that, and we've had our own issues with people coming out of Hunt Crest onto Austell Road. It becomes a really big issue. We've had several accidents and pedestrian accidents, situations that pedestrians have been hit. So that's just something you might want to take into consideration, and what's going to be done. I know you said the county owns those roads, but that's going to be the path of least resistance, to hit those roads, then to hit the traffic light. So with 125 homes, that's usually what happens. So I just want to put that out there, but I just want to let you know, we appreciate you reducing it. The more you can consider, a little less, the happier we'll get. but we really thank you for considering offering this.
We'll
Thank
definitely,
you for those comments, Marie.
thank you very much. We'll definitely take those into account, see what we can do to improve the plan.
I was going to read Wesley's question, but he's asked to speak, so give me just a moment. Wesley, you're being unmuted now. Unless my click finger didn't work. Okay. Wesley, you should be unmuted. It's actually not letting me. I wonder if by chance you're on a phone. Robin, would you mind looking at Wesley? I will see if there's another comment while we try to get you unmuted, Wesley.
This is not planned as a gated community. So
Okay. Sonia, I had an ask to unmute button, which I did. So Wesley, I think we got a technical difficulty here. Please try again. You changed the setting.
Okay, perfect. Got it.
I still can't unmute him. Can you?
Wesley, I cannot unmute Wesley either. We are clicking at Wesley, but we are not.
Hello now.
There we go.
Great.
I apologize, everyone. I think it might have been my end.
So go ahead.
All right, so I actually have two questions. One of them is more of a statement, and the other one, the first one, I'll go ahead with the question, is one is how is this going to affect the tax value of the properties already in existence, such as Leela Street, Arnold Drive, South Cobb, Linda Vista, and Hunt Crest? Everything basically surrounding in this area. And two, I sort of feel like that we're not being, they're not necessarily being honest with us about the density plan for this building. Being a millennial myself, I don't really feel that my generation is really into these kinds of buildings. I definitely believe that millennials would much prefer ranch homes and the style of homes that are already existing in the area, as well as being affordability. A lot of my generation are usually just starting careers or only a few years into their careers. So I don't really think that reasoning was completely understandable from my point of view, if that makes any sense.
all right, let me answer the questions that were posed. From a tax value standpoint, what these proposed price range for this new community, it's not going to really affect surrounding tax values in a manner other than provide stability for your own values and investments in your own homes. The way the tax assessor does values residential homes on a new subdivision like this, they do it by the subdivision, not by just because these are 350. Your particular house, if it's less or more, is not affected by this because it's in Huntcrest or it's on different section of Leela or wherever that is. So it does not affect tax value in a way that increases your taxes or decreases your taxes. Either way, that's not how they assess or value for those purposes. And to clarify, with what Cliff was talking about in terms of what they've seen in the market. I mean, the marketplace speaks on a much more broad basis. There's always exceptions if you're talking about, statistical groups and what they tend to do. They're trying to build for the largest possible audience that they have seen through their thousands of homes that they're building and have built. What the market data that they have shows them is that. Certainly, Wesley, your personal experience may be different than that, or what you and folks that you may know, but that still doesn't account for what the largest marketing statistics say. of who they would think. Does that mean everyone buying in here is the same age? No, not at all. It's just that this has had a broad appeal, this type of community to that particular group, but it's not a, typically something like this would have a number of different types of and demographics across the types of buyer. So it's not being built for one buyer. It's being built because this is, or being proposed to be built because this is what, they have seen has been very desired in that market. But I certainly take what you've had to say about, about it is important, and glad you were able to make that comment. And again, we're looking at all of this as part of our plans as well in moving forward.
Well, truthfully, Kevin, if I could piggyback one thing on top of that, is that's why
Please.
we had a tremendous amount of interest in townhouse communities from millennial buyers. And again, I value your opinion, and just because you're a millennial, there's all kinds of different within each of our different age categories or whatever we are, whatever, there's a variety, but we have had a lot of millennials interested in townhouses. And that was the kind of the impetus behind the feedback. And I think you certainly have got a very valid point. And so we'll continue.
Well, this would segue into a secondary statement, if I may.
Go ahead.
Secondarily to that is, I feel like the resistance to making it ranch homes as opposed to the townhomes and having such a larger density than what the surrounding neighborhoods would prefer to have aesthetically wise is more to the point that I believe Traton would prefer to make the most amount of money off of it, obviously, just like any developer should. But I believe that's obscuring their vision towards the aesthetic look to the area, and that by any means necessary, they're going to pretty much make this however they want, despite what we say.
And I would totally disagree with that. If they wanted to do it like they wanted, it'd be 145 townhomes. I mean, this is part of a process, and I'm really starting to take a little bit of offense to your implications that we're not being transparent or honest, because it's the exact opposite. I mean, you can very much see that Traton's willingness to participate in this process, which is not required as far as this meeting goes. Traton's willingness to already have right out of the gate go ahead and say, you know what, we've taken some initial feedback and made a very substantial change to the plan. That's part of the process, and I'm happy to, and we're going to be continuing to look at that. But yes, does there have to be? This is a business that has to obviously make money to survive and build houses and do this. But again, there's balance that has to go into that, be it the house price itself and so forth. All of that goes into this, and the cost of development and the house prices themselves and what those can support, and what this neighborhood can achieve. All of that goes into it as part of this. It's not simply what's the maximum amount of money they can make. That's just really not there. There's a lot of ways to do that, but that's not what you're seeing here.
I would also add to what Kevin has said, Wesley and everyone else, and that is that the process is not up for Traton to decide what to do here, but rather the property is presently zoned light industrial. So the county decades ago made a decision that was how this property would be used. And so the current owners or any future owners could develop the property that way right now. For it to be developed in any kind of a residential way requires a zoning application, which is what's happening here. That's why the signs have been posted. That's why letters were received by those of you who are within 1,000 feet of the property. And it also requires a public hearing before Mr. Hughes and his colleagues, and then a public hearing before Commissioner Sheffield and her colleagues. So there is, and along the way is public comment and public interaction like this. So it's not unusual for development or redevelopment to not be exactly what each and every one of us would like it to be, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a say in influencing it. And so that's why it's just so important that 57 of you, the last time I looked, are here talking about this application and giving us your 2 cents worth, because that is what this process is just exactly intended to do. So we've got a few more questions in the chat. For the sake of time, I'm going to condense a few. Someone's asked, will there be 2 entrances? Where will the main one be? Yes, there are 2 entrances actually that sort of splits into 3 because of the split between South Cobb Drive and Linda Vista. I don't think one is the main one. I think that is one of the advantages actually of this property, that it can access both Clay Road and Austell Road. So the impacts on those 3 streets would not be as great on any one street as it would be if it were the only access. Someone named Jay Green wrote a comment that I think is very apropos for what some people are thinking, and the request was that we read this comment. The properties at Huntcrest and the surrounding areas are not as dense as what's projected for the new property. I'm on a lot in Huntcrest directly impacted by the development, and the lot sizes in comparison are tiny. More homes, less green space. I appreciate the reduction, however, more would be appreciated. Single family homes at an arm's reach versus townhomes is not much different at the end of the day. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you all. Marie asked a question about drawings as to what the product would look like, and whether there was a property that we could look at so that we could see the quote unquote look of this new property. And I think Ken, you answered that that you don't have a property built that is configured lot size like this. But as far as the architecture is concerned, is there a property that you've built that we could look at the architecture?
Not really. I'm going to be honest with you. Not really.
Okay.
I think we've got some drawings. We've got some renderings we can get to you guys. I don't think the colored versions are done yet, but we're working on them that we can share with you guys kind of for what we're going to be building out in Powder Springs. So let us get those to you. We think we're excited about it. We've gotten good feedback from our folks that are on the interest list there. We'll certainly get you copies of what we're thinking about doing.
Okay, and then we had a question about whether or not traffic studies include the evaluation of sidewalks. Kevin, do you know?
Traffic studies do not include evaluation of sidewalks.
Okay. All right, so that's something we'll need to look at independently. In the interest of time, is there anyone with a question that hasn't been addressed before we have a few closing remarks here? Okay, I'm not seeing anything typed into the chat. So I wanted to give you guys just one last look at our email address to be included on a mailing list for updates, links to the traffic study, place to ask questions, place to get questions answered. From our perspective, I would also encourage you very much to be in touch with Mr. Moore. I think many of you have his email address on the letters that you received. If you don't have his email address handy, you can certainly email us and we'll pass it along. Kevin, your email address is?
My email address is jkm@mijs.com. And I'm more than happy to talk to anybody, for further comment or any questions. Again, I think that we're going to work hard at this. What Traton is known for and what we try to do very much is work with the community. We've heard these comments, and we're going to try to work, and we ask that you work with us. And this is a dynamic process, and we'll work hard at it. We would love to have this be something that folks can rally around. We think this is a great opportunity to take what property that's light industrial now and turn it into what would be another thriving part of this overall community. And that's our goal here, is to do that and to work with folks and see what we can accomplish.
Okay. There's some email addresses in the chat, so please
Yes.
take a look at that. Please, for all of you who live around this community, remember that Becca Ford is our contact on this, and her email address is in the chat, or you can email zoning@mableton.org, and I'll forward you right along to Becca. Kevin's email is also in the chat now. And then to close us out, I wanted to ask first Planning Commissioner Hughes if he has any comments for us, and then Commissioner Sheffield if you would like to close us out for the evening after that. So Sonia, if you could, I'm sorry,
I believe
I
the
think you're
commissioners
unmuted
are-
now.
Yeah, I think the commissioners are unmuted. I'll confirm.
Oops. There we go, Michael.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to participate in tonight's community meeting. I've taken a few pages of notes regarding buffers, stormwater, density issues, and certainly intend to have discussions with the appropriate county staff regarding the issues that have been highlighted here tonight, and also take a visit to the site as well, just to familiarize myself with the area. And just look forward to this project coming forward. And again, thank you for the invitation to participate.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yeah, same here. As always, Robin, thank you so much for always being the community's voice as it relates to our zoning matters, and Kevin for always making yourself available for these type of calls. I really appreciate it. I did have some questions which I included in the chat, and Sonia, thank you so much by not calling my name out, because I don't want to sway public opinion one way or the other with the type of questions that I asked. But I do have one, Kevin. You guys mentioned that you would be amenable to reducing the density, and you also included that you had not submitted a plan to the county. Have you guys determined at this point which plan which site plan you intend to submit to the county?
Yes, Commissioner, the application was had the site plan for 145 townhomes.
Okay.
So that's what's been submitted and is officially a part of the zoning application.
Gotcha. Okay.
What we had done with this plan was part of us discussing, okay, if we're turning to a single family detached type of community as opposed to townhomes, what would that look like? And we wanted to go ahead and make that as a change that we are doing. And then we're going to take the information we have tonight and refine that further. And, as Cliff said, just losing, homes just to lose them, that just doesn't seem, I don't know, smart. What does seem smart is if we do things with the plan, with the community that have benefit based on what we've heard, if that results in loss of homes, then so be it. So it's 125 or bust. Obviously we're working with this, but let us work on some of the issues and see where that leaves us in terms of numbers of homes.
Yeah,
So-
no, that's fine. And I'm very familiar with the area and and the traffic, as some has mentioned earlier. But, as you all know, whenever we have development, obviously traffic comes along with it. And unfortunately, the county does not posture itself to be proactive. So the streets will not be widened in the hopes that development will come. Once development is here, then there will be studies with respect to widening the roads to facilitate any additional traffic. And I believe in staff comments and Cobb DOT comments, the applicant agrees to donate, I think, 50 feet of the right of way, and that's reserved for increasing any streets if necessary. But as a follow-up, Kevin, how many feet are between the two homes? I know originally it was a fee simple townhome community, and essentially this just seems like it's a detached townhome. So I was just curious to know how many feet were between the units.
Yeah, it's not, the side setbacks are 5 feet with minimum of 10 feet between homes. But that's what you're seeing with this plan.
So it's just 10 feet between each structure.
Minimum, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll continue to flush this out. And as Robin mentioned, we will have our community monthly in the zone meeting on August 25th. And this is one of the applications that we'll discuss in greater detail. At that point, we may have additional information from the applicant and also from the applicant's attorney that we can flush out and further discuss. But again, thank you, Robin, for the invitation and the opportunity to join you tonight. And as I always say, I thank you for the privilege of your time.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to the dozens and dozens and dozens of Mableton residents who are on my screen tonight. This is just grand. I mean, here at MIC and the zoning committee and on our board of directors, you know, we've signed up to volunteer to do this stuff kind of on a long-term basis, but we can't do it, and we can't do a good job of it without you all. And so you make this work. And hats off especially to the Huntcrest HOA board for getting the word out. You guys have done a fabulous job that I know you're just getting started. So we'll be in touch, and please, everybody and anybody with interest in this, be in touch with us, with Planning Commissioner Hughes, Commissioner Sheffield, Mr. Moore, Mr. Poston. The point of this is to hear from you. And I know it's there, given the size of the group here tonight, some folks may feel like they didn't really get everything said. So there are lots of ways to do it. Email is magic. So send those messages in. So thank you very much, everyone. And hope you have a good evening. And we will stay in touch and see how this works out in the long haul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.